Guys, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we're going to be doing is teaching you how to take the leads that you get from your seller site and push them into any system you want. That could be Podio, ActiveCampaign, Salesforce, whatever it is. This tutorial is going to show you exactly how to take the leads, the data that come from InvestLift, and push them into absolutely any other system that you want. All right, so why don't we go ahead and jump into things here. So the prerequisites for this tutorial is, number one, you're going to want to have your seller site set up already. Okay, so you can see I have a seller site already set up here. Number two, you're going to want to have access to your CRM. And number three, you're going to want to have access to your Zapier account. Now, if you don't have a Zapier, what you're going to want to do, I don't know if it's Zapier or Zapier. Some people call it Zapier, some people call it Zapier. Whatever it is, let me know if I'm calling it wrong. I call it Zapier. People always refer to these integrations as Zap, so I'll call it Zapier. But go ahead and just go to Zapier.com and go sign up for a free account. In most cases, you're going to be able to do this with a free account, at least the basic setup. More advanced setups, you're going to need a paid account if you have more than 3 steps in each of your integrations, or if you're pushing through a ton of volume, which hopefully you will be doing because you'll be crushing and getting tons of leads. So it's pretty cheap though. It's like $20 a month. This is an essential tool. If you're a marketer, you gotta have Zapier, because you're gonna have a bunch of different tools that you're using, and you need to be able to move data from one system to the other, and that's exactly what Zapier does. This allows you, you can see here on my screen, connect this app to this one. So we can take data, a lead for example, take it from one system, push it over to the other system, and connect your systems together. So super important skill to have, super important tool in your toolkit. I would be nowhere without having this tool. If you were trying to do this without this tool, you would have to custom code all of this. That would cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. For $20 a month, I think is what the base plan is. You can do this all for free. In this basic integration, I'm going to show the first stage you should be able to do just with the free account. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to go into our backend panel. So I'm in the backend panel here, and under settings, we're going to click integrations. Click Zapier and go ahead and generate yourself an API key. Go ahead and grab that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go over to Zapier, where it says connect this app. We're just going to type in InvestorLift. Okay, we got InvestorFuse, also great software, by the way. Shout out to Dan Schwartz. And we're going to grab InvestorLift, and we're going to connect this. In this case, we're going to do Podio on this one. We're going to say that when a new lead comes in, we're going to want to create a new item, which that new item is going to be a lead. So we're going to click try right there, and we're going to go and accept these, and it's going to ask us to sign into InvestorLift, and we're going to go ahead and punch in our API key right there. That's now going to connect to our account. Now guys, before you do this, you're also going to want, what you're going to want to do is want to make sure you push through at least one test lead, okay, because we're going to need that in a second. So if you haven't pushed through a test lead on your site, I'm sure you probably have, but if you haven't, just go ahead and just punch through a test lead. So you have some fields that you can then map from InvestorLift to another one, okay, to another system. So you'll see why we need that in a second, because when we click continue here, we're going to click test this trigger, and we need a sample lead. So we can see, okay, we got a sample lead here that I pushed through earlier, Robert Wensley, and I filled out all the data. And what we're going to be able to do now is take that test data and map it to our fields in Podio. So Podio, we got Podio here. What we're going to do is we're going to create an item, click continue, choose an account, choose our Podio account. If you haven't set up a Zap with your Podio, it'll probably ask you to log in. If you're just open on another tab, it'll probably log in for you. And some of these other systems, InvestorFuse or whatever, it'll do the same kind of thing as we do in InvestorLift, where you have to punch in your API key. But in most cases, or in many apps, it's just going to already be pre-logged in. And guys, everything has a Zapier integration. Salesforce, ActiveCampaign, Podio, like pretty much everything out there has a Zapier campaign. So this will literally allow you to plug your leads into almost everything out there. So we're going to choose our organization. Ooh, I don't know what the organization is on this one. Let's see. Okay, where's our organization? This is the problem with Podio, is it gets really complicated really fast. Let's see. Do we have recent activity in one of these? 8 hours ago. Okay, so I'm guessing that's going to be under immediate home offer. Okay, so we're going to plug it in there. So choose your organization, choose your workspace. I'm guessing this is going to be acquisitions. If you guys are doing this for your own setup, obviously you're going to know exactly where it's going. But this is not my business. I didn't set up this Podio account, so I gotta make a few guesses here, but I'm guessing this is the right one that we're gonna plug it into. We're gonna go seller leads, file attachment. You don't need anything there, and then boom. Okay, all of a sudden we have all these fields open. So these are all the fields that we have available to us in Podio. Now the process here now is very simple. All we gotta do is take our investor fields and map them into fields here. Okay, so lead source, you'll see there's some that are required. So if it's required, you gotta make sure you map it. So lead source, this is gonna be website, campaign. Ideally what we'd probably wanna do, let's see if they have PPC here. Joint venture, let's see. Okay, we don't have investor lift. So what we'd probably want to do is we'd want to add in a scenario like this where we have a campaign, clearly investor lift is not here. You want to go into Podio, add that campaign. Just to keep this video rolling though, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop in the top one here for now. I'll come back tomorrow and set up a new campaign for investor lift there and map that in there. So lead status is going to be new untouched. Type of deal. We're going to call this investment lead. This might be different depending on your Podio setup, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to basically set the fields on what I want things to look like when leads come in. So full name is going to go in there. Phone number. See all that data that came through for that lead is now available for mapping. Okay, so our email. Grab email there. I don't really know the email type. Property address. We have both full address and if you want the actual segments of the address, city, county, state, whatever, you can map those. And then we do have bedrooms. So let's punch in bedrooms there. We have bathrooms. Guys, pro tip. If you have bathrooms, do a bathrooms field and a half baths field. Because what happens if you have 2 half baths? 2 half baths equal 1 full bath. Right? So like, I mean, have a half baths field. Just makes more sense. Square footage. Lot size. Lot size is a normal one because sometimes this is square footage, sometimes in acres. I'm going to try to get this so it pushes through both square footage and acreage, so that way you have both options. Right now it pushes through, I believe, is acres. If you have the data on this one, I don't have. We used to pull this data in from Zillow, but Zillow temporarily shut off access to the API. So we don't have it at this moment, but probably within a couple of weeks, if you're watching this a couple of weeks from the current date, which is April 30th, you'll probably have the new update, which is going to include some new data from our new data provider. They give us like 244 fields, I think it is, for each property. So pretty powerful. I don't know what this field is. So some of the stuff, like, I mean, if you're setting this up on your own, you're going to know exactly what these fields should be. I don't know all the particulars of how this exact Podio is set up. So I'm just going to make my best guesses. I think a lot of these are probably going to be set after the initial phone call. So I'm going to leave most of these blank. I can always come back at any point and go update these if we need to. All right, we got a notes field. Okay, so you know, in the seller site lead form, there's a bunch of those fields like, you know, property condition, exterior condition, kitchen, baths, all that. Like a lot of those probably don't map directly to your existing CRM setup. So what I like to do is just go and drop these into a notes field or some miscellaneous field. So I'm going to go ahead and drop these all, anything that hasn't been mapped. I'm going to drop down this notes field. So that way we have it. But we're not setting up too many fields. I'm a big fan of not having too many fields in CRM. Okay, if you put too many fields, then your CRM is going to become very chaotic real quick. It's going to get out of control real quick. Because every day you're going to add more and more and more and more fields, okay? And eventually there's going to be too many fields. And it's going to decrease productivity. The whole goal of a CRM is to increase productivity, not decrease it. So don't have too many fields. It's not a good idea to have too many fields. But this looks pretty good. Oh yeah, okay, there's also the URL to the lead. I'm going to put that in there. Okay, so if there's like photos or anything, that URL, or if you want to quickly go look at the God mode data, that field is going to help you do that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to rearrange these in some more that makes sense. I like to have my well, first of all, the URL at the very bottom, and then I like to have my like motivation stuff under that. This is just personal preference. You can do this in whatever order you want, but I like to cluster stuff together because it just makes more sense to me that way. You get it set up once the right way. I mean, this only takes like 2 minutes to do. Once you get it set up, then it's good to go. It's always going to come in like that. Okay. And then I'm going to put this here, yard at the bottom. Exterior, I feel should go right above yard. Kitchen should go right above here. And now, so these fields are going to come in as raw data. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to put some descriptions on here. So I'm going to put bathroom condition, because when this field comes in, it's going to be like new, but we don't know what it is unless we put some descriptor. So kitchen condition. Appliances. Countertops. You can tell a lot about a property just based on the countertops and the appliances, I'm telling you. Exterior condition. Yard. And then this is going to be top priority. If you see top priority, get cash ASAP, that's like the best kind of lead. Time frame to sell. And then additional info. Okay. And then this is going to be investor lift. URL. Okay, so if we want to actually click in and see everything, see the photos, whatever, we can do it there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So I'm mapping all these fields that I don't have preset fields for in Podio. These fields. My general rule of thumb is if I want to run analytics on that field, I'll set up as a custom field. Or if I want to run automations off of it, I'll set it up as a custom field. If not, I'll just throw in the notes field. Okay, so we got a bunch of other miscellaneous fields here. Okay, details. So it's interesting, this details field, it seems like they're using that for stuff regarding motivation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. And then I'm going to paste this down here in case it's useful down here. Because it seems like that's where they're putting motivation info. So we got square feet and then the size of the house. Guys, don't set up your Podio like this. No offense to whoever's Podio this is. Like, this is redundant. But I'm just going to throw square footage in this. And also put it in this. Don't have redundant fields because you're just going to waste your sales team's time. Try to always only have one field for each data point. And then, oh, this is the size of the lot. Okay, and square footage. I don't have square footage. I have acres. That's fine. Actually, I take that back. This is not redundant. This actually makes sense. So I have seen that, though, many times where it's like square footage, like multiple of the same field. Because someone sets it up and they forget, and then someone sets up the same field again. Always try to keep your CRM as clean as possible. All right, let me put the stuff that you're actually going to use. If you're not making a decision in the sales process based on that data, then it doesn't really matter. Asking price. This is a good field. So you know what? What I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to throw asking price in up here too, because I feel like this goes well with this whole like motivation type thing. Even if we have it down there, I'm going to pop it up here. And you know what the hell, I'm going to throw it up here too. So we're going to put that up there as well. Client can come back here and edit this and rearrange this. Like this only takes 2 minutes to switch. So I was trying to push through. Now we do have square footage again. Oh, you know what I did? Oh yeah, we got square foot file slot. Okay, so actually, sorry, I take that back. We do have duplicate fields. I'm guessing this is maybe what they mean is like total property square footage versus like living square footage, maybe. I'll just talk to them about it tomorrow. Okay, so this all looks good. These are what I'm going to be filling out through the sales process. This all looks good. And this again is going to be later on. This all looks good. I think most of these end fields we can just leave. Okay, so we're going to click continue. And then what it's going to ask us to do is go send over a test. Okay, so we're going to test this. And it's going to take that test lead that we grabbed. And the first step is going to push it over. And then if we go now here into our Podio account, we'll see that test lead pushed through. Okay, so there's that test lead. All right, Robert Wensley, phone number, email, property location. It's pulling in a little bit of Zillow, I guess the Zillow data in it on this one, but I don't know, I just put in some random address. Bedrooms, bathrooms. I didn't have these fields filled out, but if I did, they would map in here. Year built. And let's see, what else do we have? New untouched, that looks good. I see the notes are pushing through, that looks good. Details are pushing through, that looks good. Square footage, lot size. Your built beds, bath, did I have data on those? Let's take a look. So sometimes what happens, so the one thing with Zapier is like the basics is very simple, but sometimes there's data mismatching. So this is probably coming through as an integer and it's wanting a text field. So that might be what's happening here, is maybe it's like they're in computer science, we have this thing called data types. So we can have integers, which are numbers. We can have floats, which are numbers with decimals. We can have text, and the one thing that's finicky with Zapier is if you have those type mismatches, you can run into errors. For example, the most common one I see is someone trying to map a custom text field to a drop-down menu. If it's not preset on that drop-down menu, a lot of times it'll throw an error. So I think we have a type mismatch there. So I'll just talk to the client about that tomorrow. See if we can switch that from a text field over to a number field. But other than that, everything looks pretty good. It's pushing through, and this looks fine. Okay. So what I would do is I'll go ahead and turn this on. What we can do now is we can go back to the home site and punch in whatever address here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do John Snow and Robert at test.com. Click get my offer. Okay, so now what should happen is, first of all, we should have a lead inside of Investor Lift. John Snow push through right away. Okay, and then what we also should have is, if we go back, we should have a new seller lead push through. John Snow, perfect. Okay, so there's two different pushes that we do. So you'll notice on our lead form, on our regular lead form, any other site, you're going to have like address, first name, last name, phone number, email. Okay, and that pushes through your CRM. Similarly, this first trigger that we just set up does the same thing. Now, the question though is, what happens if I upload a photo of my property? And then let's say I upload some bedroom, bathroom info. And I click continue and I get distracted and I leave. Okay. So how do we capture that data? Right? Because one solution might be to go push the lead through at the very end. But a lot of people are going to drop through, unless they're really motivated, they're going to drop off at some point in this lead form. Okay, so if we did the push at the very end, then we would lose most of our lead data. Okay. Conversely, if we just do it just at the beginning, then we're going to get that contact info, but then all this other data, like where does that go? Okay, it does go into Investor Lift. Okay, so we can see I started filling stuff out, putting bed and bath, year built, and you'll see it's coming in here. Is I fill out more of this, you'll see that this is going to update. Okay, so it pushes into here in real time. But with Zapier, we gotta have a trigger, right? The trigger that's going to push it over to our system. So the way that we solve this is, you notice when you first set up this initial connection, there was 2 triggers here. There was one for create lead, and then there was another for update lead. Okay, so how this works is, on the first initial push into your CRM, what we do is we create the lead, pushing through all the contact info. So even if they drop off after the contact info is pushed through, it doesn't really matter, because we grab that contact info. It's pushing through just like any other lead they have in your system. Then what we do is, at each step of this lead form, as they answer these questions, we have an additional Zapier function that's available to you called update lead that fires on every single question. So as each of these different things are being filled out, you have access to a secondary Zapier function, which we're going to create right now. Okay. And we'll go ahead and type in Investor Lift. Okay. And this time, instead of the new lead function, which is going to fire again after that initial contact info is pushed in, we're going to do is we're going to create, we're going to select the update lead function here. Okay. Choose our account. It'll already be there because we just used it. I'm going to click test trigger. Now this fires every single time someone completes one of those steps in lead form. So every single time we're pushing through the data, updating that lead, that we originally created in that first step. If they drop off at any point, it doesn't matter. We're not going to lose any data. We're always going to have all the data that we need. Okay, so now what we're going to do, instead of create item, we're going to do update item. Okay, and we're going to choose our account, click continue, choose our organization, our workspace, our application, and then here's the thing. We need to select which item is going to be updated. Item to be updated, this means like which lead. Okay. Now the question becomes, okay, how does the system know which lead to update? Okay. So you'll see here's some leads that we just created. On its own, it's not going to know which lead is the one that it needs to update. So what we have to do is we have to create a custom field to tell Zapier which lead it is that we need to update. Okay, and to do that, what we need to do is we need to give it a field that can search for to find a unique identifier that is searchable in the system that we can update based on. So the way that we typically do this is if we go under seller leads here, okay, and I'm going to click settings here, modify template. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new field. I'm going to drop it way down at the bottom because this field is only going to be used just for this one integration and not for anything else. And we're going to create a text field. Drop it down here. And I'm going to call this Investor Lift _ID. Good practice in programming is to not use spaces because some systems can't handle spaces. So we always use underscores in programming because sometimes when you do integrations like this, if you put a space, it'll actually break it. And then instead of multi-line, we're going to do single line. So your best practice. And we're going to go ahead and click done. Okay. So we're going to use that to go tell Zapier which lead it is. Okay. That we want to go update on the update function. But now we never set that on that first zap. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go in and we're going to jump back into this lead. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually go map that field. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these leads real quick because we're going to push them through again. Go ahead and delete these leads. Delete these items. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and delete those. And then what I'm going to do is up here, what we're going to do is click continue, test trigger, and actually we already have the ID, so actually I don't even really need to pull in a new one, new test lead, because we already have it. But what we do need to do is we need to go find that field. So I'm guessing it's probably not going to show up here yet. Yeah, see, it's not showing up here yet. But what we can do is we can click refresh fields, and then we'll go pull in all the new fields, and boom, we got that investor lift ID. And what we're going to do is we're going to map the investor lift ID into the investor lift ID field. Okay, makes sense. Click continue. Go ahead and retest this action. I'm going to turn it on. And if I refresh this now, and I go ahead and click into this lead, I go down to the very bottom, or wherever it is, investor lift ID, you see now I have an ID on this field. So now what I can do is I can go hop into that secondary function that we're setting up, that we're still setting up, and I can now go use that to go find that lead and tell Zapier which lead it is that I want to update. Okay. All right. So acquisition star lead item to be updated. What we're going to do, we'll give this a second to load. We're going to do custom, and we're going to click add search step. Okay. Now, if you do this stage, okay, you don't have to have all you could just push the contact info. In fact, not every CRM out there supports this. Okay, so InvestorFuse, for example, if you're on InvestorFuse doesn't have this ability, this update ability yet, or the search ability. I'm going to be working with Dan to hopefully add that. There's a couple others. What's the one Rob Swanson has? I think it's Rob. Is it Rob Swanson? I can't remember. Anyways, there's a few that don't have this, but any major CRM is going to have this functionality. Salesforce, ActiveCampaign, Podio, things like that are going to have this. Any major CRM is going to have this functionality, where we can actually add a search step. Okay, now if you add a search step, we're now in a 3-step Zapier, so you do need to upgrade to a paid account to make this work. Okay, so we're going to search for an item, find item, choose our account. If you didn't want to do this, by the way, or you don't have this search functionality available, what I would do is when you push through the lead, just push through that URL field and just let your sales team know that, hey, if you want to see the full data for that lead, click on that URL to go up and up in InvestorLift and just view it there. Okay, so that's a quick way around that. But if you want to see all the data and push all the data through it, this is how you're going to do it. Okay, so application, seller leads, and then here's the thing, search field right here. What we're going to do is we're going to type in ID, and then we got investor lift ID, and then search value now is going to be this ID value. Okay, click continue. So we're basically telling it here's how we want to search for that lead that we're going to update. We're going to click test and review. Bargo, we had trouble getting a match nightmare details that can be found in your search. Did we push it through it? Well, yeah, we pushed it through with ID. 5482. Is this the same lead? It's not the same lead, probably. That's why. 5482. That one should work. Because when I pushed on Stone Through, I didn't have this ID field, so it's searching for the ID and it's not finding it. This time, this should find it because I just pushed that through with the ID. So this should pass. There we go. Now, Podio knows exactly which lead it is we want to update. Okay, so that's really good. Lead source again. We'll go switch this. We'll go set. Oh, actually, this one's fine. This one go. Should we do website? Should we do PPC? We should probably do PPC. I'll go ahead and go update the other one afterwards. That one fits better. Campaign. We'll jump in tomorrow and add InvestorLift to this. Our idea would be cool is if you pass through the actual Google Ads campaign, that would be cool. You could do that with what we call UTM parameters, but that's going to be a whole nother super advanced training we'll do later. New one-touch lead. So all these required fields, if this is required, you got to make sure you map it. And this is going to be We'll say investment lead. Seller name. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to map all these fields again. This is going to be kind of boring, but I'm just going to make sure that I map them exactly the same as I did the first time. So that way, on each step, as the seller is filling out the lead, it's not like creating or running data wrong. It's literally just updating the lead. Okay, property address, and we're gonna do. I don't know why these are probably a match type issue, but let's just throw these in here. Bedrooms, bathrooms. If you set up fields like these, like beds, baths, in any system, always try to set them up for the type that they are. So this is actually not supposed to be a text field. This should actually be a number field. Okay, specifically, if you were going to do like on bathrooms, bathrooms could be what we call a float. A float would be like 3.5. So in CRMs, you'll see sometimes float or int. And float means you can do decimal. Int means integer, means no decimal. Okay, so square footage, for example, would definitely be an int. And if you map numbers to text fields, sometimes some systems will allow it. A lot of times, though, it will not work. So that's a little pro tip that most people probably don't know. This is why sometimes people, they just hate Zapier. They're banging their head against the wall for hours trying to get things to work. And I would say 90% of the time, it's some sort of field type mismatching that causes errors. The cool thing about Zapier, though, is it'll show you the errors. So you get these errors. If you click on errors here, if your zaps are failing, it'll tell you why they're failing. It'll tell you that, hey, you have a field type mismatch or whatever it is. Okay, so these all look good. I think these all happen later in the sales process. Notes field. So I already mapped these all on the other one. I'm lazy. I don't want to redo it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go find that one and copy it and paste it in here. So we have the mappings here. It probably won't copy them over exactly. I'll probably have to remap them, but at least I can get the order and spacing and stuff right. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So we'll grab these, we'll put these in notes, and then you'll see like I still got to re-enter all of these, which is kind of annoying, but at least I have like the same formatting now. So when I run those updates, it's clean. It's going to be the same formatting no matter what. So this is going to be bathroom condition. This is going to be kitchen condition, appliances, countertops, exterior, yard. This one's called priority. Just ask them, what is your top priority when selling? Time frame to sell. Asking price. Additional info. This it comes through. It's actually called message, but basically it's additional info, and then we got the URL there. Okay, so those are all good. And then I think there's one more here. This details field. Let's copy that one as well from our others app, and go ahead and paste in here. And we'll go ahead and again map these. I think this might be one thing where like this client is just comes in the next day. It's like, I don't need this up top of the notes. I'll just want it down here, or vice versa. Once you have it set up, it's really easy to edit this. Just getting it to work for the first time is the main thing. Once you got it working and the data's flowing through, it's really easy to edit anytime you want. Okay, and here's where we have square footage. And we have square footage again. So here's what's interesting. Okay, so this might be one of those situations where they ran into a type mismatch, and that's why they created a second field, because probably they created a text field and it like wasn't integrating with some third-party app or some Zap or whatever. And then so what they had to do is create a number field to be able to get it to work, and that's probably why they have duplicates here. So that's why I always try to give these pro tips, because most people won't tell you about this stuff. And if you know about it, I mean, it's advanced stuff, but it's not hard. And it will save you, if you understand it, it'll save you hours and hours of work. If you don't understand it, you'll be banging your head against the keyboard a lot of times trying to figure it out. So let's see, what else do we have here? I think we had asking price down here somewhere. Let's see, where is it? I guess it goes right in here. Yeah. This is another thing where we have a text field that should be a number field. So always watch your field types if you can. Now that you guys understand that. Like, I didn't understand this a few years ago, and then I learned it, and I was like, wow, okay, this is actually really important. None of my stuff is going to work if I don't set up my field types right. So we're going to push through that test. We're going to turn on the Zap. And when we turn this on now, so let's go back to this lead. Because this lead, let's make sure we have Robert Wensley. Yeah, Robert Wensley. So what I can do now is, let's see, is there some fields that haven't? Okay, I already filled this out completely. But what I could do now is, if I wanted to, I could go into this lead and I could click edit lead. And what we'll do is we'll just say, first name test, edit. And we'll click save lead. And you can actually manually push this. You can manually trigger views now. If you want to click that create lead Zap, you can click this button. If you want to update in CRM, you click update. So I'm going to click update in CRM. And let's go over the CRM. Let's refresh this. And did it work? Did it work? Did it work? Ah, it didn't work. What's going on? Maybe I have to do it through the lead form. Maybe I have to toggle this on. Okay. Oh, because I don't have this on. Duh. That's pretty dumb of me. Okay, multi-step devs. This is what I was telling you about. You have to upgrade. If you upgrade, then this will work. Let's see if we can upgrade here. I'm going to do monthly because, okay, we need a credit card in here. So, okay, so I'll call the client tomorrow morning. Let me know he needs to upgrade. So if you have more than 3 steps in your Zap, so if you're doing the search function for the update, you do need to update. It didn't look like it was that bad of a price, though. Nothing too crazy. $20 a month. So not too crazy. $19.99 a month. You will use this for a lot of other stuff. Okay, so I'm going to be doing a tutorial. One of these, if you follow along here, this is probably the most difficult Zapier setup. The next one is going to be, I'm going to do a tutorial on how to use this with something called Proof that shows these little cards in the bottom left-hand corner. This one takes like 5 seconds to set up. But again, the way to do that is with Zap. So any integrations you're going to be doing between systems and marketing, you're going to be doing with Zapier. Like a lot of pro marketers I know will literally have hundreds of Zaps in their marketing stack. Okay, so you're definitely going to want to need this. Make sure always to name your Zaps. Update, lead, and Podio. So once I go update this should all work. And we'll toggle it on here. And we'll be in business. So that's exactly how to set up Zapier with Podio. If you're using another CRM, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. You're going to create one Zap to go create that lead. That'll push you the contact info. You probably want to have some sort of search field, what you call that. It could be investor lift ID, something like that. Create some sort of custom field. And then what you're going to want to do is find that item, create some sort of search step to go find that item. And then once you've found it, you can go ahead and go update it at each stage in the lead form. So it's nothing that's too difficult. The first time you do this, I know it sounds intimidating. I'll give you a couple last tips here. Once you turn these leads on and you get them running, make sure to check these error logs, okay? So Zapier will let you know if there's errors, okay? You usually get emails, okay? So make sure to always check these, make sure everything is running correctly. You can also see Zap history. So when these Zaps actually run, you'll be able to go and see all the Zap history on everything that's run. So it makes debugging and problem solving really easy for you. So go ahead and give this a shot on your own. If you find this intimidating, don't hesitate to reach out to our team. We'll be happy to help you. Try to give it a shot on your own, because this is foundational stuff that you need to learn. If you want to go be doing 100K a month or 200K a month or $1 million a month, this is kind of some of the foundational marketing principles where you got to learn these skills. Either you or someone on your team needs to be able to understand this stuff to be able to operate at a high level. So hopefully this was a good introduction to some of the ninja level marketing that we're going to be teaching with your Investor Lift account. And hopefully you can apply this to your business. Get your Investor Lift account connected to whatever CRM you're using and go make a lot of money in the year ahead. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next tutorial